What's up, you guys? I'm Dan. This is Frugal Not Cheap, and today we'll look at road trips in a Tesla in 2023. I made a video a couple of years ago talking about my road trip from New Hampshire down to Texas. This was 1,800 miles approximately. And so even back then, I was able to make the road trip happen, and it was a really enjoyable experience. But I'm happy to say that since then, things have only gotten better. First off, road tripping in a Tesla has gotten better because we have way more superchargers. Back in the first quarter of 2021, which is when I bought this car, there were about 2,700 stations, and there were about 24,500 connectors, basically like stalls you can think of in the world. As of September of this year, 2023, there were 5,500 stations with over 50,000 connectors. There are loads of superchargers in the US and Canada, and as you can see, they cover most of the interstate travel between major cities. Coverage in Western Europe is also quite good, as you can see here. And in East Asia, we have good coverage in Japan, Taiwan, South Korea, and growing coverage in Thailand. Also pretty good coverage in select Chinese cities. Here in Texas, there's really good coverage in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, also around the cities of Houston and Austin. A little bit of coverage in San Antonio, but a good amount of superchargers on the interstate highways connecting these cities, including from DFW down to San Antonio, where I took a road trip earlier this month. The really cool thing about taking a road trip in a Tesla, and this is not ubiquitously the case for different EVs, it can be a lot harder using non-Tesla EVs to do this, is that the Tesla system will basically plan the trip for you. You can just tell the car where you want to go. It'll plan all of your stops and how long you're going to be charging there in order to get you to your destination okay. In the past, you could always do this from the car, which I'll show you in a little bit. But one of the cool things now is you can also do it from the Tesla app. You just tap on location and then you search for a destination. In this case, my hotel on the Riverwalk in San Antonio. Then you're able to quickly send that over to the car, and it's got the whole plan, as you can see here. We've got 2 supercharging stops. The whole thing takes about 5 hours, including charging. But as you can see, it would leave us at the hotel with only an 8% state of charge. And so in real life, I would want to add another charging stop near the hotel so that we can put a little more juice in the car and have a little bit to run around with the following day. That 5-hour travel time is admittedly higher than what it could be using a gasoline car because, well, it's much quicker to fill up a tank, and also depending on the car and your efficiency and whatnot, you're going to be able to go a longer distance between those fill-ups. So, let's say you take maybe 15 minutes to fill up once and use the facilities, whereas we did about 2 stops for about 25 minutes, gives you about 50 minutes in terms of the charging and facilities time using an EV, using my Tesla. So a bit longer. Some of the newer Teslas, of course, have larger batteries, and so you'll be able to go a longer distance without charging, and so that could be helpful as well. That could minimize that time for road trips. My car is a 2017 with a 249-mile battery, so it's a bit older, whereas the new ones can do nearly 400 miles or so. So let's take a look at how this would work in the in-car navigation system. So we put in our destination. We're going to go to this Hotel Valencia Riverwalk. 269-mile trip. Boom. Here it goes. And it is now planning our entire route for us. Okay, there we go. The route is now picked out, and it's letting us know that our first stop would be in Temple, Texas. This is actually a pretty cool place. The Temple, Texas supercharger has over 44 stalls. It's just a giant supercharging station at Buc-ee's, and recently there was even some Cybertrucks that were spotted at that site. So you can see here that at Temple we would arrive with a 19% state of charge. It's best to arrive with a lower state of charge because the car charges up very quickly when the state of charge is low. So like going from 10 to 50% is very, very fast, whereas going from 70 to 80% might take just as long or even longer. So that's not the preferred thing to do. So yeah, we would get there with 19%, and we would actually be able to go straight on from there over to the hotel and arrive with 13% state of charge. So that's pretty crazy that we could actually do this whole thing with only one charging stop, as you can see here, which is awesome. But of course, in practice, when I went down there on my road trip, we stopped twice so that we would have enough charge to take a detour out to, where is it? Down here, we took a nice detour over to Lockhart, and we got some lovely barbecue, and that was really, really good. We went to Terry Black's. And then also the other thing that was different is I wanted enough charge so that we could hit some of the one of the missions, Mission Espada, here south of San Antonio, and then drive back up into the city. So that also required a higher state of charge. So in practice, we went to a charging station in Abbott, and then we also went to a charging station here near, I think in Kyle, and then charged up one last time at Shirts before going to the mission and then back to the hotel, and we had enough charge. And then on the way home, we charged once somewhere like I think in San Marcos, and then one more time in Temple at that site, which was really cool as you see all those charging stations at a Buc-ee's. So that was really neat. All right. So other cool things about the Tesla system are that at each of these supercharging spots, you can also see pictures of what it looks like. So you just can scroll here. Here you can see the Buc-ee's and all those different stalls, which is really, really cool. You can also figure out how expensive it is. So it'll tell you what the charging and idle fees are. Oh, wow, there's actually 48 stalls. So more than I thought. There were only 44 available when I went there. And then this nearby amenities thing is really useful as well. So we know we have restrooms, we know there's coffee, and we know there's groceries. But if we want to know more, we can just actually tap on that. And here's the coffee option that it showed us, the Starbucks. Okay, so we don't want to arrive with only a 13% state of charge at our hotel. So what we want to do is add another stop for charging. So I can kind of go zoom in here near my hotel, hit the supercharger dealie. The UI kind of bounces around a lot, so it makes life a little bit difficult. Here is a supercharger in Shirts, Texas. So we can add that as a stop just by hitting this button over here. Boop. And interestingly, now we've got actually a lower state of charge at Hotel Valencia. And it is real-time updating based on weather and traffic and all kinds of stuff. And then also probably just time to take the detour. But what I would do is instead of only waiting 5 minutes to charge here at Shirts, I would charge the battery up from that 16% up to, maybe 70% or something like that. And then I'd have plenty to get around San Antonio and then the next day without having to worry about getting low here on the battery. I will also point out that these percentages of state of charge that it's estimating are really, really good. You tend to get there, in my experience, within 2 or 3 percentage points of what it says, oftentimes just within 1 or 2. So it's really, really quite accurate. It's pretty incredible how good it is at doing that. And I think the last thing to talk about here is that this whole experience with supercharging is, for now, something that is best with Tesla. So in Europe, they're starting to open up some sites to non-Tesla vehicles. They're also doing that here in the United States as well. But it's not sort of super widespread. I'm not seeing a whole lot of non-Tesla vehicles there. And as you can see also that the whole experience is integrated into the software really, really well. I mean, when you get to the charger, all you have to do is plug it in. You don't have to swipe a card. It knows exactly, it knows who you are and how to bill you. And it's integrated with the app to tell you when the charging is done, when you've charged enough to continue on with your trip. Also when the charging hits whatever the limit that you've set is really just an awesome experience in terms of the app and the technology and the seamlessness. And that's not something you get with other vehicles. Over time here in the US, a lot of other makers are going to be adopting Tesla's charge plug, which is called the NACS, the North American Charging Standard. They just came up with that name to, make it become a standard and partnered up with a lot of companies. So over the next couple of years, this is really going to level the playing field in terms of the road trip experience. But for now, if you do research, you'll see that taking a road trip on a non-Tesla vehicle and trying to rely on like the Electrify America network and others, it can be quite a nightmare because the number of stalls is small per station. They're often out of order. You don't know that they're out of order before you get there. The integration with the car's navigation system isn't there. It's just really not nearly as good of an experience. It can be pretty horrifying, actually. Oh, and then how much does it cost? Well, it's pretty cheap. I'm gonna add up all of the supercharging stops that I had on the way down to San Antonio and back. So total, we probably did about, what, 270, maybe 300 miles each day. So about 600 miles. And I'll let you know how much that cost. On that note, as Tesla does open up the supercharging network to non-Teslas, it does say on their webpage that Tesla owners will continue to receive the best pricing available, implying that non-Tesla owners might have to pay slightly higher prices for charging than Tesla vehicles. So it's good, we'll still have some advantage there of being a Tesla on the Tesla network. But you might ask, why is Tesla doing this at all, opening it up to non-Teslas? Well, the whole point is to help the adoption of electric vehicles. So yes, Tesla could maintain this moat for a long time, but instead they're going to try to help the adoption of electric vehicles and electrification. And then of course they'll still be able to financially support the network if they can, continue pricing the energy appropriately. So there you have it. Tesla road tripping in 2023 is better than ever. And as Tesla continues to aggressively build out their supercharging network, it will, and as newer vehicles also have a higher range and strong efficiency, it's only going to continue to improve. Hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please hit the like button and consider subscribing. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.